Hello there. The purpose of this record is to introduce you to the most modern and scientific means of effective positive thinking, namely recorded autosuggestion. We should first of all explain the three basic principles upon which this method is based. Think carefully now. These principles could change your whole outlook on life, and that of your loved ones too. The first principle is this: how we think really does make a difference in our lives. If we have happy thoughts, we tend to be happy. If we have sad thoughts, we tend to be sad. If we have good thoughts, we tend to be good. If we have bad thoughts, we tend to be bad. It's as simple as that. In other words, positive thinking tends to help us, negative thinking tends to harm or hinder us. So our thinking really does make a difference in our lives, and perhaps the big difference. A second principle is this: the more we think a certain thought, the more we repeat it to ourselves, the greater is the effect that it has upon our lives. And when a certain type of thinking or a certain train of thought becomes a habit, it can produce drastic effects on our lives, automatically and subconsciously, even against our wills. Therefore, it is very important not only that we think good, healthy, positive thoughts, but that we think them repeatedly and consistently until they become a good habit, a healthy way of life, so that we do desirable things almost in spite of ourselves. This, of course, is one of the major aims of education. The third principle is this: our thinking, even our good thinking, generally requires the power and the force of the emotions behind it, if it is going to be effective. Merely repeating an idea in an abstract way, or thinking about it merely theoretically, will not have much effect upon us, especially when our emotions are pulling us in the other direction. The much ridiculed New Year's resolution is a good example of this principle. Merely repeating the resolution over and over again, even when we say it with fists clenched in determination, seldom has any real influence on our behavior when we feel a strong impulse or temptation in the other direction. In other words, most New Year's resolutions are too abstract. They leave us cold. They are just so many empty words. It is necessary, therefore, that for really effective positive thinking, we harness the forces of the emotions to work for us. Think for a minute. Isn't it much easier to do what we should do when we really enjoy doing it? When we want to do it? And likewise, isn't it much easier to avoid things we shouldn't do when we really don't feel like doing them anyway? For effective positive thinking, then, we must fire up and inspire the emotions so that our good ideas and resolutions move us instead of leaving us cold. That is why emotional control is so necessary for effective self-control and self-improvement. Now, the emotions are controlled in great part not by abstract thinking, but by what we may call deep-down thinking, which is done by the imagination. Some folks have described this process by saying that our emotions are controlled by our subconscious minds. This is a bit misleading. Let us say simply that purely abstract intellectual thinking does not have much effect upon our emotions. To control the emotions, ideas must be implanted deeply in the imagination, which works so deeply in the personality that it harnesses the emotions for our welfare. For it is the power of the emotions which gives us so much of the drive, the enthusiasm, and the determination we need to carry out our good thoughts to success. But how does one do this kind of thinking? How does one implant a good idea so deeply in the mind that it harnesses the emotions to work automatically to achieve the results we desire? In other words, how does one do this deep-down thinking of the imagination? The basic step in developing really effective positive thinking is to repeat the desired idea over and over and over again when the mind is very deeply relaxed. In one sense of the term, we might say that one must meditate on the idea in a quiet, peaceful, deeply relaxed state of mind. For it is in this state of mind that the imagination can absorb ideas and be conditioned most effectively by ideas repeatedly suggested to it. It has been known for centuries that our thinking has a much greater chance of affecting our lives when we withdraw for a while from the cares and the complexities of daily living and relax and meditate on the ideas until they sink in, until they take hold, until they work. It is well known that the power of suggestion works best when the person is relaxed and concentrating on the suggestion. All in all, then, the answer to our question is this. The mind absorbs this kind of positive thinking best when it is deeply relaxed. The value of suggesting an idea repeatedly in a state of deep relaxation can be seen in another way. In terms of an old law of psychology called the law of reversed effort. Now, according to the law of reversed effort, when we are struggling against our own ideas and our own feelings, the harder we struggle, the more difficult the struggle becomes. We actually struggle against ourselves and produced just the opposite effect from the one we desire. We have reversed our effort. For example, when we are nervous or tense and we try hard to relax, the harder we try to relax, the more nervous and the more tense we become. Why? Because in our very effort to relax, we are reminding ourselves over and over and over again how nervous we are, how tense we are, how hard it is to relax, and thus we become more tense all the time. Such is the power of negative suggestion. Or again, when we try hard to sleep, the harder we try, the wider awake we become, because in our very effort to sleep, we are reminding ourselves again and again how wide awake we are and how hard it is to go to sleep. And so naturally, we become wider and wider awake. Such is the law of reversed effort. The proper technique, therefore, to implant an idea deeply in the mind is not to force the idea, but rather to relax and to concentrate on the idea repeatedly until we are literally molded by it. Instead of just thinking about being a certain kind of person, we suddenly are that kind of person. Instead of just wishing we felt a certain way, we actually feel that way. Instead of just wanting to do something, we do it. For we have harnessed the power of the emotions with all the drive and all the determination they provide. We may summarize all that we have said so far by saying that the best way to harness the power of the emotions, the power of the so-called subconscious mind, is to concentrate on proper ideas repeatedly in a deeply relaxed frame of mind. The great value of recordings in this process is that, generally speaking, the use of recordings is the only way most of us can get sufficient relaxation and sufficient repetition. Of course, the recording will not produce results if it is not played properly. But if it is played, it allows the mind to relax for a definite period of time each day, and it repeats the desired idea over and over again until it sticks. It is almost impossible for most of us to practice this kind of meditation or suggestion consistently and sufficiently by ourselves. Nor is listening to a sermon about the idea or reading a book about the idea in an abstract or theoretical way of much effect in comparison with implanting these ideas over and over again, deeper and deeper into the mind by the power of autosuggestion. There is little doubt, therefore, that a properly designed and properly used recording is one of the best scientific means of making positive thinking really work. That is why recorded ideas and information will be a standard educational technique of the future. If you do not use it, your children will. The principal instruction for the use of this recording is this. Listen to the recording in its entirety at least once every day, without exception, until you have obtained the results you desire. As you listen to this recording, you will become very deeply relaxed. Even now, you can feel a deep, warm, comfortable feeling of pleasant, peaceful relaxation developing in your toes. And your toes are becoming very deeply relaxed. And with every breath you take, you can feel your toes becoming even more deeply relaxed. And now, this feeling of pleasant, quiet relaxation is spreading from your toes into your feet. And with every breath you take, you can feel your feet becoming more and more deeply relaxed. And now this feeling of comfortable, quiet, restful relaxation is spreading from your toes and your feet into your legs. And your legs are becoming more and more deeply relaxed with every breath you take. And now you can feel this deep, pleasant, wonderful feeling of relaxation spreading from your legs into your body. And your body is becoming very deeply relaxed. You can feel this sensation of peaceful, warm, comfortable relaxation spreading throughout your back and into your shoulders, into the abdomen, and into the chest, throughout your entire body. And with every breath you take, your body is sinking deeper and deeper into the most enjoyable and wonderful sensation of relaxation you have ever experienced. You are becoming very deeply relaxed. And now you can feel a warm, comfortable sensation of relaxation developing in your fingers and spreading from your fingers into your hand and from your hands into your arms. And your hands and your arms are becoming very deeply relaxed. And now this sensation of quiet, restful relaxation is spreading from your shoulders into your neck. And your shoulders and your neck are becoming more and more deeply relaxed with every breath you take. And now you can feel this deep, warm, quiet, wonderful feeling of peaceful relaxation spreading into your head, into the back of your head, to the top of your head, and throughout your face. And your head is becoming very deeply relaxed. And now you can feel this deep, warm, pleasant sensation of wonderful relaxation throughout your entire body. becoming deeper and deeper with every breath you take. You are becoming more deeply relaxed, more wonderfully relaxed, more peacefully relaxed with every breath you take. You are becoming very deeply relaxed all over. Now you can feel a sleepy, quiet, restful sensation spreading throughout your entire body. With every breath you take, you feel this sleepy, quiet, restful sensation developing in every cell, every nerve, every muscle of your body, from the tip of your toes to the top of your head. Your toes are becoming more deeply relaxed, quiet, and rested. Your feet are becoming more deeply relaxed, quiet, and rested. Your legs are becoming more deeply relaxed, quiet, and rested. Your body is becoming more deeply relaxed, quiet, and rested. Your hands, your arms, and your shoulders are becoming more deeply relaxed, quiet, and rested. Your head and your face are becoming more deeply relaxed, quiet, and rested. And with every breath you take, you are sinking deeper and deeper into the most peaceful, quiet, and restful state that you have ever enjoyed. You are very, very deeply relaxed. You are developing a profound feeling of confidence and of determination and the ability to make the most of any situation. This ability to make the most of any situation and to make the most of yourself results first of all from the fact that you are freeing yourself from any undesirable events in the past. No matter what may have happened to you in the past, you are free to make progress today. You are free to take full advantage of your abilities and of the situation. You are free. Free. Every day presents you with a new opportunity to begin afresh, to make real progress. And you will begin each day with this positive frame of mind, feeling free to make a new start, a fresh beginning, no matter what yesterday may have been like. The second reason you can make the most of every opportunity that life presents to you is that you are developing a realistic outlook on life, a willingness to face the facts of life, to take things as they come, and then to make the most of them. For you are developing so much confidence and so much determination that you would far rather look truth in the eye than hide from it in fear. You are developing the realistic attitude that you can make real progress, in the real world of truth and facts, not in the make-believe world of ifs, maybes, and might-have-beens. Therefore, you begin each day with an honest, objective analysis of the circumstances in which you find yourself, determined to begin from right there to make the most of the opportunities you find. And then you make progress to fulfill those opportunities with confidence, enthusiasm, and careful thought and planning. For you find your greatest satisfaction in doing your very best in any situation in which you happen to find yourself, no matter what the circumstances may be or how you came to be there. In fact, the more difficult the problem you face, the more of a stimulating challenge you feel. The more positively and constructively your mind works to see the opportunities and the advantages available to you, and the more enthusiastic and determined you feel to solve the problem. The more challenging the situation, the better you perform. Difficulties bring out the best in you, for you are determined at all times to move forward and to do your best, and no matter how limiting the situation may be, there is one opportunity that is always available to you without any limit, namely the unlimited opportunity to do your best. Even if you have not always done your best before, you simply recognize that fact and shrug it off, and then begin afresh to do your very best from then on. Therefore, you will begin each day by drawing an imaginary line on the floor, standing toes to the line, and then thinking to yourself, what I am, I am, what is, and from this point I go forward with determination, enthusiasm, and confidence to do my very best. And regardless of what happens on any given day, if you have done your very best, you will rest contented, prepared to draw a new starting line the next day and to begin again from there to make as much progress as you can. For you see every new day as a new opportunity, and you face it with renewed optimism. You are therefore becoming more flexible, more willing and able to adjust your efforts realistically in the light of changing circumstances. When something unforeseen happens to change your plans, you immediately analyze the new situation constructively to see how you can make some positive, progressive move from that point. This is the equivalent of accepting the will of God, and it will provide you with a deep inner peace and confidence, even while you are engaged in the most intense and determined effort to achieve some goal. With this positive, dynamic, confident attitude, you will see more and more opportunity around you all the time. Where they see failure, you see success. Where they see defeat, you see victory. Where others say no, you say yes. Where they say can't, you say can. Where they say won't, you say will. For you are realistic, and every situation really does contain opportunities for progress if one is looking for them. And you are looking for them. Even now, your mind is affirming these positive principles. I feel more confident and more enthusiastic every day, and more determined to do my very best at all times. no matter what the situation may be. I am not content with less than my very best, but I am content when I have done my best. Content to draw a line at any given moment, free myself from the past, and go forward to the very best of my ability. I approach each new day and each new situation constructively and confidently. I feel carried along by a tide of enthusiasm, radiating my confidence and my enthusiasm for life into my family, my friends, and my associates. No matter what happens, I try to see in it some reason for its occurrence and some value for the future, some opportunity for a better life and a better world. I enjoy an exhilarating feeling of freedom, a sense of freedom that increases every day. As I become more and more independent of the past, more and more capable of rising above the limitations and obstacles of the situations in which I find myself. And with this wonderful sense of freedom, there comes a glorious feeling of confidence. And I surely do feel confident and tremendously alive. Now, open your eyes, stand up, alert and wide awake, full of confidence and enthusiasm, and determined to put these principles into practice.